Hello, everyone. Welcome to an exciting episode of Grid Live Post Race. With me, Jessica from Paddock Insight and Kobe from the Podium Finish to report on all the latest news. We'll definitely be starting off with MotoGP and an exciting season finale for the MotoGP season. Of course, 2020 has been a very unusual season for MotoGP. Traditionally, we'll still have more races around the world. Of course, it's just mostly a European affair this year. But definitely this race, it lived up to the excitement. Very exciting race. Jessica, yesterday you said the winner needs to have a clean start. A clean start is very important. And today we saw Miguel Olivera get that clean start. Nobody could touch Miguel today. Even a lap time of 1.39. Nobody had the pace as Miguel. How impressive was Miguel Olivera's win today?
The Portuguese had a very good time throughout the weekend. Yesterday, have made the pole position. Today, he made signs below 139, like you say, and a correct and clean start that added to his speed, made he escape from any fight with Morbidelli and Jack Miller, and took off this overtake the victory. He is a great rider for something KTM will take him next year on his official bike with Brad Binder. He was really motivated to beat Arjona in Portugal, and that helped a lot to get the win today in Portugal.
That definitely helped him get the win today in Portugal. That clean start, not having to battle Franco Morbidelli, as you mentioned. And of course, if he was back there with Franco Morbidelli, you have Jack Miller as well fighting for the win. Clean start made the big difference. That KTM was just fast all day and just nobody could touch him. And I think this was really exciting for him because quite commonly we see here in the United States, especially in NASCAR, if you see somebody a last lap pass wins the race, very exciting finish, but a lot of people will say, well, that person was more lucky to get the win. Some people were saying that about Miguel's win at Austria. Last lap, last corner, got the win. Today, any doubters that said, oh, he was lucky about that win, not for today's race. Today, from pole, led every lap, won the race. Impressive, very strong performance, and has to be very excited about next year with that KTM. Now, a rider that didn't get a great start, of course, Fabio Quartararo, fell back from his 8th place starting position. Just a poor start, and he continued to fall back. Just him and that Yamaha were not working well today. Were you surprised by Fabio's performance? And do you feel the pressure really got to him?
Fabio has to learn to manage stress, and he recognized it himself. And he said that we'll seek a professional help to be able to handle things that do not turn us expect. And the talent he has, we know everything. And we hope that for the next season, Yamaha will accompany everything that in his riders do. And now he will be in Yamaha official with Maverick Viñales. He will have a hard partner, and we hope that each of them will learn from the other and are fighting for the first places in the 2021.
2021, those two at Yamaha, I think they're going to look really good, especially if Yamaha could have a better bike come out. And that's really good to hear about trying to get seeking professional assistance when it comes to battling the anxiety and the pressure. I know, especially during Mental Health Awareness Month, a lot of folks were familiarized with Alex Bowman's story of how he gets the anxiety as to for Quartaro to come out and say, I'm going to do this. I think it just really shows that he is committed. And this year may have ended in a sour note, a couple times, missed opportunities, but I think he's going to come back stronger. Yeah, this race wasn't the way he wanted it to go, not the way he wanted to end the season, but definitely he seems like he's on the right path for a better 2021. Now, one surprise today, Suzuki's performance did not secure the Triple Crown. In fact, Rins started just outside the top 10, but fell just way down after a pretty nice start. Mir did not finish the race. early contact today, fell in the back, just did not seem to have his head in the game, and then just dropped out of the race. Suzuki's poor race today, were they a bit distracted, you think, with their championship accomplishments? And will they still be the team to beat next year?
Suzuki is one of the teams that will be very strong next season, along with Honda, Yamaha, and Ducati. In the end, Atlas Ring was third in the championship, and Mir is the champion. It's a great team with a lot of data collected this season, and with their experience, they will know what they have to do next year to stay among in the first places for the championship.
Yeah, Suzuki, the championship, I do see them being contender. Quite often we see this could be the case where they got the championship wrapped up, all that excitement, that pressure's off, then they just come to the next race, still with the mindset of we're going to win, but things don't work well. This is the perfect opportunity to say, okay, what didn't go well in Portugal? How do we prevent that from happening? Easy way to do that? Well, what do we do every other week that was so successful for us? They had the wins this year. They have the speeds. Next year, they are definitely going to be a threat for wins. Another person that's going to be a threat for wins as well too is definitely going to be essentially one of the riders we've been talking about a little bit. It was with 2021 Yamaha. They're looking forward for the next year. New bike. Besides Franco Morbidelli, everyone else was way in the back. And at one point, we even saw Quartararo, Vinales, Rossi all racing together, 14th, 15th, 16th place. How excited is Franco Morbidelli, especially since he was up front about 2021? And what should we expect from him and Yamaha next year?
Yes, and we also remember that his teammate will be his great teacher, Valentino Rossi, without much noise of the track. Morbidelli did a great job this year, winning races and confident experience. Now he must look outside and see that his greatest inspiration will be also his most dear rival, because the first objective of each rider is to overcome his teammate. So I think Franco Morbidelli win a lot this season, win Yamaha a lot of experience, and he's a great driver.
He is a great driver. I do see essentially potential for him, especially with Valentino Rossi. You bring a really good point. Can learn a lot from the doctor himself next year, get all that experience, and really excel. I see him contending for wins next year. Yamaha, overall, I see them being a championship contender as well. We definitely want to encourage everyone watching us on Facebook, YouTube, StreamYard, everywhere to comment in the chat room. If you have any questions about MotoGP, racing in general, we'd love to answer your questions, hear your thoughts and opinions. Thank you, Justin, for watching. We definitely appreciate your comment. Now, one of the big things, of course, Jack Miller got second place in the race today. Finally got around Franco Morbidelli on the last lap. Of course, he is known as Jack Miller, the last lap thriller. Next year, he's going to join Begagné in the Ducati for 2021. That means Andre Dovizioso is out of the right, and in fact, will be taking next year off. We're not sure about 2022. When it comes to Dovi and 2022, do you see him returning back in 2022?
It all starts mainly with what next year will do, and if there will be a place available that catch the attention of Dobby. In my personal opinion, Dobby still does know if he will return. This is a very exhausting year of a mental level for him, and he must organize his ideas. So it's very difficult to know what happened with Dovizioso for the other year with this year in the 2021 without any place in MotoGP.
It will be very interesting to see what will happen with him. Quite often we've seen this in Formula One. Kimi Räikkönen, year off, comes back. We've seen Nigel Mansell even do it. Other racers. For MotoGP, I think the harder part is where would Dovi come back to? If there's a good ride out there, that's great. If there's a team that isn't exactly running up front, I don't see him as well wanting to go in that situation. I think he is somebody that wants to be, if he comes back 2022, have a good ride, have shots at win, and have a chance at that championship. Today was also the last ride for Cal Crutchlow as full-time rider. Of course, as he's going to be leaving out, there has been a lot of silly season. One of the big ones, of course, Olivera going to factory KTM, joining Brad Binder. I know you mentioned this earlier. Both riders won a race this year for the KTM, and considering how Olivera with Tech 3, 2 wins this year, very impressive. Could KTM be the surprise team to watch for the championship next year?
Yes, Katie has done an impressive job with the riders on the track and with their test driver Dani Pedrosa. The Spanish has been a very important key proof to give the bike a feeling of why they're missing, and what is left over from it. KTM will be several times, no doubt about that. So I think KTM will be a very strong team for the next year.
I do see KTM being a very strong team. And then we do have a question from the chat room. Justin writes, he wants to get into MotoGP next year. When does the season traditionally start and end? I know traditionally we see usually a March start, and it's around this time. Jessica, when it comes to, especially new fans, when it comes to that first race, Qatar, what are some of the other things you recommend to watch for a first-time MotoGP rider, viewer?
I Yes, I think Qatar is a great race, and because it's the first race of the season, is everything gonna be okay with the pandemic? And I think in USA, in America, will be a great race, and I think all the Spanish races is a very good to see. And the end of the season always is in Valencia, but for this year is in Portugal. So there are good races for see in the next season.
Very good races for the next season to check out. And definitely it's going to be, I think, a very exciting season. And here is the 2021 MotoGP calendar for next year. Now, of course, it is all provisional due to the pandemic situation. But as you can see, Qatar, March 28th. That is an evening race. That's what the little asterisk represents, an evening race. Then the green, if you notice the green dates, that's where we have Moto E, essentially the electric bikes race in that race weekend, as well as MotoGP. And then, of course, especially if you're in the United States, April 18th, Circus of America, Jessica in Argentina, April 11th, the Argentina Grand Prix. A lot of races. And then we do have 3 reserve tracks of Portugal, Indonesia, and Russia next year. So that way, in the event we have still the pandemic situation to where we're going to see races postponed and other dates change here and there, we'll have that option of more racing ahead and hopefully a full schedule. I know this year was mostly just a European affair with all the racing. We didn't see the worldwide circus of MotoGP go around the world. I definitely will have to agree with you about KTM again, Jessica. Overall, it was a great season of MotoGP racing considering everything that happened. As you said yesterday, wonderful job by the FIM, Dorna Sports, for putting this season together. Final thoughts on the 2021 season. What's your shining moment of the weekend?
And we are waiting for the return of Marc Marquez and what level he will have. And this weekend, I take the Morbidelli and Miller 5 for the second place. And I have to say, Nakagami was able to come back and finish in the fifth place. He has to fight with Dovizioso, Mauri Viñales, and a lot of riders, but he did a great job today.
He did a really great job today. Definitely, for me, seeing Miguel Olivera just dominate the race, dominate the weekend. He was on a league of his own. That is always very impressive. It's very hard, especially in MotoGP. We a lot of times are used to Marc Marquez going out there, winning races, being dominating. But to see Miguel, that KTM Tech 3, which finally got his first win this year, and then to get a second win, that team has to be over the moon. Next year, I think they're going to be really excited. for their potential with their new riders coming in. Of course, Olivera is heading out, but definitely, I would say that was the one shining moment from this weekend and the MotoGP season. What a great season. Very unfortunate, of course, without Marc Marquez, the injuries, everything that went with the pandemic. But definitely, Dorna Sports, all of them put on a great season, and we cannot wait for next year's MotoGP season. Definitely, we'll continue reporting on MotoGP news during the off season, so be sure to subscribe, especially on our YouTube channel. We definitely want to thank Jessica for being part of the Grid Life team. We appreciate all your insight and experience in MotoGP, and we highly encourage everyone to follow her at Paddock Inside. The link is in our video description, and definitely, I know we'll be covering as well Formula One pre-race, post-race next weekend, all three of us, and we're very excited about that. We're also very excited Kobe's back with us to report on some of the latest news from around the world.
Yeah, sticking with MotoGP, let's start off with some news coming out of there. And two MotoGP racers will be competing in other disciplines of auto racing very soon. Starting with Valentino Rossi, he's going to be returning to the Gulf 12-hour endurance race in early January. And Rossi is teaming up with his half-brother Luca Marini and Alessio Salucci, sharing a Ferrari 488 GT3. And typically, the Gulf 12-hour has been held at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. However, due to the pandemic situation, the race has been moved to the Bahrain International Circuit. And yesterday we did mention on Grid Live pre-race that Rossi is likely in the final stages of his MotoGP career. Definitely not a spring chicken anymore. And sports car racing, it's been known to extend a lot of racing careers. Just like when an IndyCar driver's opportunities have dried up in open wheel racing, sports cars gives them a home to continue driving, just like we're seeing. I'm going to use Ryan Briscoe as an example. Briscoe used to race full time in the IndyCar series, and then once those opportunities ran out, he's been able to have a solid career in sports car racing. So yes, you can have a career in a brand new discipline, whether it's mostly open wheel or even stock cars. But sports car racing gives you like a new life, and you can keep racing like well into your 40s, and for some even into their 50s. So here's my question for you guys. Should we expect to see Valentino Rossi more in endurance racing when he retires from MotoGP?
No, I think he will be dedicating himself to his academy and continue to help his talents. I don't see the in another competition after MotoGP. All his life is for the motorcycle. I think he always will be with academy in the end of the 2021 season.
It'll be very interesting to see what Rossi does. Seeing that he is doing that endurance race championship, that is really exciting. Has me thinking if he could do some more endurance races, could we see him in the United States? That'd be great. He does have his academy there, his rider academy, very strong program. I do see him putting a lot of attention, but it will be really exciting to see Rossi doing different races across the world as well.
Yeah, it would definitely be really excited to see Valentino Rossi, since does have experience in endurance racing, specifically the GT3 category. It would be really cool to see a Valentino Rossi go across the globe and try to win some of the crown jewels in endurance racing. Just like maybe we could see him run the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'm not really sure if we'd actually see that, but I think it'll be really great for all the fans to see one of MotoGP's all-time greats come over and try to win the twice around the clock French Endurance Classic, or like you mentioned, maybe come to America, try to win the Rolex 24, or even the 24-hour spot, 24 hours of Nürburgring. All of those are probably not going to happen, but it would definitely be very exciting to see, because crossovers in motorsports, when that happens, everybody wins. And on the other hand, his mentee Franco Morbidelli is planning to enter the World Rally Championship season finale at Rally Monza with the Hyundai Rally Team Italia. And this is definitely a big-time addition to the WRC field. And going from a MotoGP bike to a rally car is certainly a major transition in terms of driving style. What are some of the challenges that Morbidelli will face in early December?
I think concentration for the next season improve his physical and mental state, and they should still be careful not have any injuries before the season. Since wherever someone is injured, the question for everybody is if they should run out of the season. So I think the principal things to Morbidelli is concentration and his physical state.
Great points that you brought up, and especially the safety aspect. One of the things we have seen, unfortunately, some serious rally car racing accidents. Robert Kubica, Formula One driver, took him a long recovery to get back to F1. Now, of course, safety has always been progressive, and I do feel Franco will not position himself where he felt his safety was jeopardized. When it comes to next year, especially with MotoGP, this is just something I think a lot of fun. Do the race, say he got to do a World Rally Championship, and could, depending on how it goes, open a new avenue. If we see Yamaha is locked up where he can't get into factory and he's still stuck with essentially the privateer teams, maybe there could be an option in the future. But it's definitely going to be interesting. And of course, for the Grid World Motorsport League, this is going to be really interesting because now Franco Morbidelli is going to have another event to be scored on in the Grid WML, which you can follow on Twitter at grid_WML.
Yeah, and it really does seem like that this is a fun opportunity for him. But yeah, it's been an unprecedented MotoGP season. But hey, go race at Rally at Monza. Have a great time over there, and see what happens. But and you did bring up a good point. Maybe this could open the door for future opportunities down the road. And when you're looking at MotoGP and WRC, obviously major differences here. And yeah, we've seen some really crazy and scary rally car accidents. But I do think that going to WRC for the season finale and just having a good time, that's only gonna help out the driver mentally and make sure he's heading into the off season in a good mental state. And also Valtteri Bottas does some, Formula One driver does some rally stuff during the off season for fun as well. But but Valtteri, it's a different style of rallies than what you normally see because he's doing it on ice, and that's really crazy. But all in all, I do think it's good for motorsports when we have all of these crossovers taking place.
I agree. The crossover is always very exciting for the fans, especially. It's just a win for everybody. Now, of course, definitely one driver that feels just got to win, Ryan Preece. On Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Ryan Preece made a big announcement several days ago that many have been expecting. Preece will return to number 37 JTG Doherty Racing Chevrolet in 2021. At first, many had assumed his seat was on essentially the market, looking for another driver, that Ryan was on the hot seat. 2020 was a disappointing season for the modified ace from the Northeast. Finished 29th in the points. Not at all a good luck season. A lot of times, just no luck, bad luck, some hard wrecks this year. He scored a best finish of ninth at the Bristol Nice race this year. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his teammate, 24th in the points. JTG just not the year at all. But then next year, Preece, third year with JTG Racing. If we were to see more of the same struggle next year from Preece, the team might have to do some reevaluating their options before the next gen era in 2022. Kobe, how does Preece bounce back from such a tough season that was 2020?
Well, for starters, I think Ryan Preece and his team, they're going to have to look in the mirror and, be completely honest about everything that happened this year. And in recent years, we've seen that this team, JTG Darty Racing, they're capable of running a lot better than what they ran this year. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had several drives, that were very impressive and showed what this team is capable of. But all in all, both cars struggled this year. Ryan Preece struggled a little bit more than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. You see Stenhouse 24th in the points and Preece barely finished inside the top 30. And considering that those cars they get equipment from Hendrick Motorsports, and they're finishing that far down in the standings is unacceptable, especially the season that they had before. Chris Buescher, when he was in the 37 car, Buescher was very impressive, and it seemed like in 2020 that the entire team really took a step back. And I think the way that they'll bounce back, I think they'll have a lot of help since we have ECR and Hendrick engines working together to produce a common engine now instead of having them competing against one another. And I only think that will make the Chevrolet teams a lot stronger. And and I think next season, and we see this in a lot of forms of racing, we're going to be comparing Stenhouse and Priest, teammates. If Ricky, let's say for next season, if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is well inside the top 20 in points, and Priest is still, just barely inside the top 30, then that's not going to look good for Ryan Priest either. And we saw the same thing happen to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. when he was still at Rasputin Racing. They brought in Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman outperformed Stenhouse to show that that he wasn't getting the most out of the equipment. And then they sent Ricky Stenhouse Jr. packing and got Chris Buescher in that 17. So I do think that 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 hopefully over the offseason, JTG Daugherty Racing is able to evaluate their entire program, make the necessary changes. They got the common engine coming next year, which is really going to help with ECR and Hendrick working together. And Priest is just gonna have to just you know work extra harder. And we know 2021 is gonna be his third season running Cup full time, and it's a big adjustment, going whether you're coming from Trucks Xfinity, moving up to the Cup Series, and it definitely takes time to get used to these Cup cars. And in today's day and age, it's really difficult because we're not having practice, and next year we're gonna have some practices, but still for the most part not gonna be practicing or qualifying, just gonna line them up in race. And I do think that hurts as well because for some drivers they're not gonna get cup racing right off the bat. It takes some several years, and they're going to need time and patience. But unfortunately, in today's day and age, if Ryan Priest doesn't perform in year 3, it might be game over for him.
Could be game over. I know it's just one of those deals where this is the third season, and one of the things I sort of noticed, rookie season sometimes comes out really good or not so great. That sophomore year, the sophomore slump, that is a big thing to watch for, and he definitely got that. Now, year number 3, I feel usually we see that third year becoming a better year for a lot of drivers, and this is a make or break year. Essentially, with that third year, I feel this is when they got the experience of their first year out of the way, the second year sophomore slump, especially for Ryan Priest, is out of the way. Go out there, really perform well. So I think we could expect either a really good year from him, or maybe something where it's not exactly going well, and him and JTG need to think about what's best for the two of them in the future. And definitely, I think it's going to be something where we'll be definitely watching to see what happens to Ryan Priest.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you brought up a good point about year 3 typically being the year where you see some improvement. Yeah, and without a doubt, Priest had the sophomore slump, and the best thing he can do is just to learn from all of the things that went wrong. Maybe try to find a golden horseshoe over the off season, and next year, hopefully he'll have his best season in the Cup Series yet. So he can sign a long term deal and remain in the Cup Series for the next several years to come. And next, our final story is going to be about Lewis Hamilton. A lot of great, we know Lewis recently clinched his 7th Formula One championship, and there's a lot more great things coming his way. And after the United Kingdom had to check his finances, making sure that he was paying the right amount of taxes, the green light has been given for Lewis Hamilton to receive a special honor. He'll be on the New Year's honors list and awarded a knighthood. The British racing driver will no longer just be Lewis Hamilton, distinguished guest. He'll become Sir Lewis Hamilton, and that's such a massive honor in the United Kingdom. And looking at everything he's done, Hamilton, mentioned, now 7-time Formula One world champion, 94-time Grand Prix winner, and he took a strong stance against racism. So definitely one of the most recognizable names from the UK, and also the sports and entertainment world too. And Lewis has experienced a lot of obvious success on the track and off the track as well. And most recently, as an activist to make the world a better place for people from all walks of life. With that being said, is he deserving of the title Sir Lewis Hamilton?
I do see where Lewis Hamilton is definitely deserving of that title with everything he accomplished on the racetrack. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't. I would think Jessica probably would say the same as well too.
Yes, and he is the athlete of United Kingdom and activist, like you say, and also a very glamorous driver of the track. And yes, he deserves the white title from the royalty. Also of the slope, he has a driver worthy of a high performance athlete, and he like will be like Elton John and in the sports like David Beckham, and he's deserved the status for the royalty.
Yeah, I definitely think Lewis is well deserving of this honor. Yeah, everything he's accomplished on the racetrack throughout his career, very impressive. And also Lewis is getting involved in a lot of things off the track as well, like activism. And I see he's dipped his toe in the waters in the music world as well. I think he was on a part of a song with Christina Aguilera, which was really cool. That came out a few months ago. That he was his mystery singer, and when I went back and listened to that song, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's really Lewis Hamilton. So maybe we'll actually see Lewis Hamilton, become a musician down the road. And this is, really, it just shows how talented of a person he is. He's not just a race car driver; he's an activist, and he also has a passion for music as well. So I feel like that the best is yet to come for Lewis Hamilton. I think his second act after racing might be his greatest act of all.
Definitely a lot of potential with Lewis Hamilton still, especially his activism. I think it's really great. Just really wonderful guy, and definitely very excited to see everything happening for him. Definitely want to encourage everyone to visit our Patreon. Special thank you to Colin for your support, making sure that we're on the air, expanding and growing. We encourage everyone to please like, subscribe to us on YouTube, especially. YouTube is where we're going to have all of our programs, with next week Grid Tonight on Wednesday. Then we have Grid Girl Thursday. And then, of course, Friday, we have Life on the Grid, hosted by Kobe. So please be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow, and highly encourage everyone to visit Paddock Insight. Jessica does great work with MotoGP as well as F1 over there. For Kobe at the Podium Finish, Jessica at Paddock Insight, I'm Joe. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the week ahead.